Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we've got a sort of how-to demonstration sort of video, and as you can see from down here, I'm going to be basically doing a tutorial on how to fit one of these, which is a DCC decoder. Obviously you can get sort of quite a few different versions of these. This is sort of one of the more basic, relatively cheap ones, but obviously you can get some that replicate, I think it's like water and coal usage. Then obviously you can now get the sound units as well, which are a lot more expensive. But yeah, I'm essentially going to be converting this engine here, which is the Hornby Golden Eagle. So it's a new release by Hornby. It's only been out in the last year or so. I've put plenty of videos and stuff up on my channel about it, and photos on my Instagram. So yeah, all you really need is obviously the engine itself. In this case you do sort of need the box, because you do need to flip the engine upside down, and in the new packaging, as I'll show you, it comes with the new sort of style packaging, which is very helpful when you want to do that. Well, this is just what comes in the little decoder pack. It's quite good to, I guess, to keep the information on it, especially if it's your first time, and you get this little chip here with these little 8 prongs, which we'll come onto in a minute. And the sort of basic tools you don't really need very much. Little Phillips screwdriver, flathead, and just a sort of pair of pliers, tweezers. So yeah, let's get started. Let me put some of these to the side, because we don't need any of them right away. You want to obviously open the box out, and this is the new sort of style packaging I was telling you about. Let me bring that closer. It's the new sort of plastic thing which sort of splits up the back. And you just want to take sort of all the detailing and everything out of that. You also, another good thing about obviously looking towards the box, unless you know yourself, it does actually tell you in most products in the leaflet now that you get where the decoder is fitted. So in this one particular engine, it's in the tender, which actually makes life a lot easier. But the principle is the same. Wherever you decide, whichever engine, whether it's steam, diesel, etc. So if we yeah, you want to put the engine obviously back into this casing. You don't want to connect it though, because what we're going to do is I'm going to take it to the edge of the table, and you obviously want to keep hold of it like this, because this clip isn't holding it in place, and then you want to flip it upside down, and there you go. You now have the engine perfectly sort of stable upside down. I have seen sort of foam sort of things that you can actually just put the engine upside down in, so you don't have to go through that process, but I don't have one of those, but that is another sort of option. But if I just zoom in for you, move it in the right position, you can see that coupling. Now that coupling sort of comes on a lot of the modern engines. You've got this little plug here, which I've actually detached prior to this, just because it's a bit fiddly. It might take a while, but yeah, obviously that plug, let me show that, fits in that little bit there. So you want to remove that, obviously, because it's in the tender. But even if it's in the actual under the loco shell, you probably want to detach the tender. Well, I guess it depends what engine it sort of is, but you probably want to split them just so it makes it a bit easier. But as it's in the tender, we need we need to undo this coupling, which no harm at all really. It's not very difficult. It's just a little flathead screw, and then we can push the engine away, because we don't really need that anymore. and we can literally just take the tender away like that, and this is where the decoder is going to be fitted. And obviously, as I just showed in the instruction manual, it tells you actually that the screw that you need to remove is actually under this coupling here. I don't know if you can see that there. This coupling here, which you might be a bit hesitant to remove, but it's actually really simple, because you can sort of hopefully see that that is just a little sort of plug thing there. So all you have to do is get the flathead screwdriver underneath it, pop it up, and it just pops out. It's not broken or anything, you can literally just pop it straight back in after. And now in that little hole there we have, that is where you need to get the Phillips and unscrew the tender there, and it's only one. There is, as you can probably see, two more screws here, but you don't need to undo that. That just removes this sort of plate here which holds the wheel, sort of in place. And yeah, all it is literally, you can see there's that little clip on the front there. That just clips in there and just pulls straight off. It's really easy to do, and you're presented with this. Now this is what you'll most likely see on whatever engine you take the body off, whether it's in the tender or in the body of the engine, or if you've got diesel or another sort of electric, it will be the same. It will look the same. It's literally just this little plug thing, but as you can see, if I turn it around, it says DC on it very clearly. And another thing you want to always remember is where that number 1 is. Most engines will have it written on this plate, this sort of brownie plate underneath, but I have had some in the past which haven't, so you always want to bear in mind where that number 1 is and remember, because that is where you're going to have to make sure you put the number 1 prong on this decoder, which is always the number orange one, and you can hopefully see just up in the top left corner there's a little number 1 just sort of reminding you. So always bear that in mind, and all you have to do is, with the flathead again, be very careful, do it very gently, and just prise it up, because obviously you don't want to ruin, like there's obviously wires surrounding this which you don't want to damage. But yeah, there you go, and you can actually see that little arrow there, and up there's a number 1, so that's number 1 slot there. And all you need to do is then get your decoder, work out where number 1 is, so it's that way. As you can see, it's that's the sort of number 1 slot up there. Hopefully, I don't know if it's focusing or not, probably not, but, and then all you do is just line them up like this, make sure they're in the right sort of slots, and you can gently press down until it's in. And obviously you just got to be careful that you're not doing it too hard, or you just got to make sure that it's lined up properly, because you don't want any of those prongs to sort of bend or anything like that. You can also put the insulating sleeve around it, but you don't necessarily sort of strictly need to do that, because, well, it's mainly if it contacts metal, but I think I'm going to be okay, and I'm just going to quickly put it back together and show you sort of. So yeah, so there you have it. That's literally, the engine is now digital, so it's not a sort of hard process at all. I think a lot of people sort of think it's a really tedious, sort of expensive, which, well, it is a bit pricey, but I guess it depends how you do it, process. And by the way, all you have to do now is just repeat the processes that we just did, but in reverse. So I've clipped the tender back into place. I'm now screwing that screw, so obviously now the tender body doesn't come up. And then that coupling that I mentioned earlier, you literally just get it, reline it up, and push it back into place, and then you can just get a little flathead and sort of just push it so it clicks into place, and there you go. And it's exactly how it was before. It probably is worth keeping this little instruction manual that comes with the sort of decoder, just because where there is, I don't know if you noticed on there is a little purple wire which is actually loose, like it doesn't actually connect to anything. It doesn't connect to the chip, and that's like I know that wire is if you want to connect up to any lights or anything in the future, and it just sort of tells you what all the other sort of the wires do and stuff like that, so it's probably worth keeping maybe one of them in case you have any problems. But yeah, we're just going to go and repeat that process. I'm now lining up the little coupling here, which is quite tedious, I've found in the past, to actually try and get that together. Okay, so that was a bit more long-winded than I thought, and it was a bit, well, it was more just difficult to do in front of the camera, but if you can hopefully see there, I've reconnected the little coupling and I've put in the electrical plug. So all you have to do now is, why is this front wheel being annoying? All you have to do is get the packaging again, make sure you hold it tightly, flip it over, and there we have it. So that engine is now completely digital ready. So yeah, it's really not a very sort of long process at all. Obviously this only took what, 5-10 minutes, something like that. There are obviously sort of pros and cons, but I think the pros probably outweigh the cons, to be honest. I think the only con is really the price sort of I guess difference. You obviously have to spend more, but other than that I think it's definitely worth investing, because you can still run these engines on DC, but then you can obviously run them on digital as well, so you sort of get the best of both worlds really.